And there I was the girl from Suits.
This one's wife. The danger of false claims. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. YouTube is a monster. It's a monster of an online video sharing platform that's owned by Google. It's been around nearly 20 years now. It was launched back on February the 14th, 2005 by Steve Chen, Chad Hurley and Jawed Karim, 3 former employees of PayPal. It's the second most visited website in the world after Google search. It's got more than 2.5 billion monthly users who collectively watch more than 1 billion hours of videos every day. It has been responsible for creating stars of some of its content creators. It's been responsible for allowing stars access to another type of platform to extend their reach and to generate more income. It's been the source of controversy with regard to some of the content that has appeared upon it. But it is a massive search engine, which is hugely important, both in terms of the flow of information and entertainment, and indeed has led to professional productions being created for the purposes of content so that people actually earn a living through YouTube rather than, say, conventional television. Many people have embarked upon creating a YouTube channel, some for a bit of fun, others because they want to earn serious money, others because they want fame and stardom that can come with being a well-known YouTuber. Indeed, a survey a little while ago in relation to children highlighted the fact that many of the children, when asked what they wanted to do when they grew up, gave the answer, be a YouTuber, rather than the more traditional answers of being a fireman or running an ice cream van or being a doctor or a nurse or a lawyer. Of course, what many people fail to understand is that there are millions of channels that go unwatched or watched by very few, and those that are successful are in the top 1% of all channels. A lot of hard work has to go into both the content creation and the marketing of that material to ensure that it is noticed. As part of trying to gain that recognition, the views and the watch time, certain individuals resort to controversial topics in order to draw people in. And with that comes a risk, because the platform has seen certain individuals utilize it for what have become rather spurious claims. For instance, 8 finance YouTubers found themselves named in a $1 billion lawsuit over the FTX promotion. A $1 billion class action lawsuit was filed in the Southern District of Florida, alleging that Graham Stephan, Kevin Pathrath, Andre Geek, Jaspreet Singh, Brian Young, Jeremy Lefebvre, Tom Nash, Ben Armstrong and Erica Kohlberg, as well as talent management firm Creators Agency, promoted, assisted in and participated in the sale of unregistered securities by FTX. In essence, they were talking up FTX before its collapse, and as a consequence of that, found themselves on the receiving end of legal action. Indeed, Kevin Pathrath, who has nearly 2 million followers for his real estate finance YouTube channel Meet Kevin, posted a video denying any wrongdoing. But they're not the only ones that found themselves in difficulty because of what has been posted on YouTube. YouTuber So Yang recently faced legal proceedings following a series of allegations made against her. She was primarily accused of defaming IVE's Yang Won-young, aespa and Kang Daniel. The agencies representing these K-pop artists filed a lawsuit against the YouTuber for her malicious behaviour. She was sued for producing harmful content that threatened Yang Won-young's public image. The agency won the lawsuit and the court ordered So Yang to pay 100 million KRW to the plaintiffs. Kevin Hart commenced legal action against Tasha K for extortion after she allegedly threatened to release a bombshell interview with his former assistant unless he paid her a six-figure ransom. And of course, you may recall that the same YouTuber found herself subjected to a lawsuit that was brought by Cardi B, who won in legal action in 2022 against Natasha K, where she was awarded $1.25 million in damages. This was as a consequence of bringing a defamation lawsuit. She had sought to pressure Tasha K to remove vile, slanderous videos about her. Apparently, there were 38 videos on the channel that featured Tasha K ranting and raving and making untrue claims about the star. They contained unsubstantiated allegations that Cardi B was a prostitute, had contracted various sexually transmitted diseases, committed sex acts with inanimate objects, and other vicious falsehoods. And therefore, an action for defamation was brought against this YouTuber. Furthermore, there are other YouTubers who found themselves in difficulties as a consequence of allegations they've made about Brigitte Macron, France's First Lady. The Times reported that two women falsely claimed that Brigitte Macron, France's First Lady, is a transgender woman who was born male, a court in Paris was told. Amandine Roy, 52, who describes herself as a spirit medium, and Natasha Ray, 48, a freelance journalist, allegedly made the claims in a 4-hour YouTube video in December 2021, which has since been deleted. The assertion that Brigitte Macron's name at birth was Jean-Michel Trogneux, which is the name of one of her brothers, went viral before France's last presidential election in 2022. Conspiracy theorists seized on it to mock the relationship between President Macron, 46, and his wife, 71. Right-wing activists in the United States recently revived the rumour. Candice Owens, a prominent conservative commentator and supporter of Donald Trump, repeated the claim in a YouTube video that was posted in March and also deleted. The trial had been scheduled for next March, but was brought forward at the request of the First Lady's lawyer, who argued that the case was urgent because the conspiracy theory had resurfaced in the United States. Thus, there are YouTubers who talked up, or are alleged to have talked up, a cryptocurrency that failed. There have been YouTubers that have found themselves on the receiving end of legal action as a consequence of defamatory comments that have been made. And, again, YouTubers finding themselves subject to legal claims for falsely alleging that President Macron's wife is transgender. Many things are stated about this one's wife. Much of it can be speculation. Some of it is based upon actual evidence. But there is a lot of spurious information that circulates. This one's wife, of course, is a fascinating subject for many people. There are those that find her to be offensive. For instance, the Sidley twins disapproved of her elder abuse and therefore have investigated her behaviour thereafter. There are others that believe that there is a bigger picture involved in the behaviour of this one's wife and Harry, that they are to some extent involved in as being the tools that are being used by other shadowy figures, for instance, to stifle free speech, to engage in alleging disinformation is being spread for the purposes of gagging people. The Royal Grift, I understand, regularly opines about theories in relation to the behaviours of this one's wife and other shadowy organisations. Those individuals, of course, base their observations and theories on evidence that they've obtained. There are other YouTubers that simply take material that's in the public domain and talk about it, offering their views, which they're perfectly entitled to do. Although there are others that engage in spurious allegations, which are completely unhelpful. They're unhelpful because they cloud the picture. they're unhelpful, because what tends to happen is an allegation is made somewhere which has no substantial evidence behind it, and then it gains traction through the internet, so that it becomes reported on in other places, on other YouTube channels, on Reddit, on Quora, and thus it's given the gloss of truth. But the simple fact is an investigation into that allegation demonstrates that there's no substantial evidence to support it. It was simply a rumour that has gained traction by being repeated so many times that people believe it to be true. This is problematic for two reasons. It firstly clouds the ability of those that are seeking to endeavour to uncover the truth about this one's wife by having these false allegations get in the way. It also undermines their attempts because there are those that then become sceptical by suggesting that they're just part of the making it up brigade, when in actual they take considerable time to investigate and comment upon what they find. Secondly, it plays into the hands of this one's wife, as I've explained before. She and Harry are litigious individuals, and I've made it plain previously how the narcissist will utilise the law and the use of lawsuits to assert control over people and to nullify threats to control. History is replete with many examples of notorious narcissists using the law to shut people up and to get their way. This one's wife is no different. This is why the mainstream media are largely rather careful with regard to what they state about this one's wife, even though they probably know more than they've actually reported on, because as sizable targets with vast financial resources, they make a tasty defendant for the purposes of Harry and this one's wife. YouTubers less so, and of course what YouTubers have to state is necessarily not as prominent compared to other outlets. But as I've demonstrated with just giving you some examples of YouTubers that have found themselves on the wrong end of legal action as a consequence of defamatory claims, it's also the case that certain YouTubers could find themselves on the receiving end of legal action from this one's wife if they continue to peddle entirely false allegations about her. It's one thing to take information in the public domain and interpret it vis-à-vis her behaviour. It's another to make the connections and offer a theory based upon the evidence. But there are still certain YouTubers that persist in putting out there what is patently inaccurate information, which isn't based on anything other than peddling lies. This gets in the way of proper investigations. This clouds the ability for people to see the behaviours of this one's wife by skeptics grouping it all together, putting those who genuinely unearth interesting and valid information in with the tinfoil hat brigade. You know the channels that propagate the nonsense. You know the channels that regularly come out with nonsensical allegations which aren't supported by any iota of truth. You know the channels, for instance, that will lead with a title and then talk about something else in an attempt to draw you in. My channel is about explaining the behaviours of this one's wife vis-à-vis her narcissism, and occasionally throwing in some entertainment by taking the piss also, with a bit of satire and parody. But it is important to ensure that the right information, and as I regularly explain to you, I invite you to make a determination of the veracity of the information that I present to you that comes from different sources. It's important to make that point and then provide you with the interpretation vis-à-vis the narcissism. But it's also important for you to identify those sources out there which are not to be trusted, and to ensure that you aren't taken in by the nonsense that is spouted. Because as I've explained with the selection of YouTubers who have found themselves on the end of legal action, there is the prospect that certain individuals who comment about this one's wife may similarly find themselves on the receiving end of legal action from her as a consequence of the clear falsehoods that they propagate. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.